Xe bus một ngày là 36 đồng một người nha. Xe bus màu đỏ. Ngồi trên nắng đó mà.
This bus or the big bus?
You should come back here. We're going to leave 5 minutes, so we'll be back around 2 o'clock. So you still have like 4 or 5 buses to catch, so it's real easy. Welcome aboard, guys. How you doing? Where are you guys all from? What? The Bay Area? Yep. Hey, I'm a Bay Area kid. I went to San Jose State. And what part of the Bay Area?
Berkeley.
Berkeley? Okay. I live mostly Peninsula. Yeah. I was a Mountain View and Sunnyvale.
Yeah.
So, welcome guys. My name is Bruce. Everyone calls me Uncle Brucey. Couple of things I like to tell everyone, guys. They stopped the mandate in Philadelphia and we're technically outside, so it depends on your comfort level. If you want to take the mask off, you are welcome to take the mask off. I usually tell people getting on the bus, it's a good thing to do the whole tour and see it. We'll be back at around 2 o'clock on this bus. We don't automatically stop at every stop. So if you do want to get off, let me know. Raise your hand, because I am good about talking about everything you're going to see. But if you don't tell me you're going to get off, we're going to go right past your stop. Now,
On the way back, did you stop at Reading Market?
we stop at the Reading Terminal Market, but that's only the 5th stop on our tour. So what I usually we can get on the next bus and go right there. So what you can do is you can do the whole tour and then get on the very next bus, because the buses are about every 25 minutes. You just jump on the next bus and go right back.
Oh, okay.
So that way you get to do the whole tour and see everything and then go back and have a little bit lunch later. It's up to you what you want to do. But I usually recommend do the whole tour if you've never seen it. You've never seen Philadelphia before. Besides that, guys, we have a lot of low branches. And we have a lot of low branches, so when I say duck, I don't mean duck, duck, goose. I mean get down. Especially a little bit more on this side than on that side. Just so you know, and also we're probably going to fill the bus. So just so you guys know, the way you're sitting right now, if we fill the bus, you guys are going to have to consolidate yourself, unless you want to sit next to a stranger. That's the wrong. You didn't bring a hat? Oh, and your sunscreen, you see. This is a 50 SPF shirt. No, just this one. This was my hat that I used to go sailing in the San Francisco Bay with. I had a boat right in San Francisco Bay for 5 years once. So, besides that, guys, I know I'm forgetting. Towards the end of the tour, that's where the first Congress of the United States met. And if you haven't seen the Liberty Bell, you can see it right through this window or the side window here. And of course, where the 3 windows are down right here, that's where the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution were debated and signed. I talk about that more in the tour. I'm just warming up. The tour actually hasn't officially started. Yield City Hall right here, that was the first Supreme Court met there, and that was where the City Hall flew up. Now, you see the branches, ma'am? I'm going to ask you why we're on the tour. Stay seated, because the low branches, you're going to get hit in the head and knocked over. So be careful, okay? You have another chance. The end of the tour will stop here. I'll have another chance to get that photo, okay? So let's see. Are we going to get some more people here? All right, so let me ask you guys a trivia question. Was Pennsylvania named after William Penn? What do you think? It was named after his father, so it was a trick question. Any way you answer is correct. It was named after his father, and William Penn Jr. was a college kid who decided at 22 he was going to become a Quaker, which is a brand new religion. It's a part of Christianity. It's a denomination of Protestant Christianity where everyone feels like the spark of God is inside themselves. So that means that they did not bow to, and 5 signers of the Declaration of Independence are buried here, including Benjamin Franklin, who we'll see in about 5 minutes. It's $5 to get in, and you can sit on a bench where Washington sat. Now, remember Betsy Ross? We're going to see Betsy Ross's house over there, but you see this little building over here in front of us? That was a Quaker meeting house, but it was a special Quaker meeting house because the Quakers were pacifists. But there was one group of Quakers that broke off because they wanted to fight in a revolution against the British, and Betsy Ross was one of them. So she went to this church right here until 1836. This is not the original mint. The original mint in Philadelphia is a couple blocks away, but this is where they produce half the coins in the United States right here. And those eagles you saw over there, there used to be an eagle in the first mint who had its nest, and his name was Peter the Eagle, and he's still in there. Well, he's dead and he's stuffed now, but he's still inside. And now, we're on 5th Street. All north-south streets in Philadelphia are numbered, and all east-west streets are named after trees. And you know Benjamin Franklin and his kite flying experiment? It's hard to see through the trees, but there's a kite over there. This is Franklin Park. Somewhere around here is where he flew that kite and did that experiment. Now, the reason we have a grid system in Philadelphia is because William Penn saw the big fires in 1666 in London, and when he got here in 1682, he did not want to see Philadelphia burned down. So his planner made the grid system and made the streets very wide and very open areas. And this street used to be Sassafras Street, but in the 1800s, the kids used to race their horses up and down the street like drag racing, so it became Race Street. But there's actually a sign at the very next block. When we get there, it still says Sassafras Street. Now, who's the youngest? Let's see, you're probably the youngest right there, right? You have to spell sassafras for me at the end of the tour. S-A-S-S-A-F-R-E-S. Just kidding. Now, quick look on the left, and we're going to see dead people. Do you remember the movie The Sixth Sense? It was filmed at the church over here, which is St. Augustine's Church. This is where LaSalle College got its start. So we're not, oh, I thought we were going to go. My bad, it's the stop sign here. So again, this was Ray Street, now it's Sassafras, or excuse me, it was Sassafras, and now it's Ray Street. And here we go, look on the left, and you'll see St. Augustine's Church, right there, St. Augustine's Church. That's where they filmed The Sixth Sense, right there. Now, when we get to the corner, it still has a sign from the 19th century that still says Sassafras. So you get to study, I'm just kidding, I'm just teasing you. I wouldn't do that to anyone on tour. But you should see the little kids when I do that to them. Their eyes all bulge out. And guess what? The kids always know how to spell at the end of the tour. So see, it's right above the dry cleaning here. It says Sassafras Street. And you want to hear something really sad? So I have a 16-year-old nephew, and he was on my bus in August. And there's a sign where that mom and kid are walking, where it says Sassafras Market. Can you see it? Can you guys see that? So I asked him to say, I said, Hunter, that's his name. Can you read that sign for me? You know what he said? Uncle Brucey, I don't read cursive. He doesn't read cursive. They don't teach it in the Philadelphia system anymore. So there we go. Now, who likes Danny DeVito and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia? Never saw that show? Well, here's Patty's where they filmed it. Oh my God, there's Danny. Look, look. I'm just kidding. He's not really there. He's in LA. He's at home right now. Now, the bridge in front of us, the Benjamin Franklin Bridge, completed in 1926 for the 150th anniversary of America. It's 1.8 miles long, or 3 kilometers, and that's called Benjamin Franklin Blue. Just like the Golden Gate has its color, we have ours. And you can walk across it. In the morning, it's great because the sun's behind you, but there's a major problem with the bridge. You want to know what that is? New Jersey's on the other side. Now, this is a great museum where this woman is walking. That's Fireman's Hall. That was a firehouse until 1902. They converted it to a museum. And inside we have lots of Benjamin Franklin's equipment because he started the first firefighting brigade in Philadelphia in 1736, the Union Firefighting Brigade. And the oldest continuously lived on street in America. Look on your left. Look on your left. This is Alfred's Alley. This is a jewel. This is the last existing working class pre-colonial street left. Buildings on the right are older, from the 1720s, and on the right. On the left, from the 1840s, and it was almost all torn down, but it got saved in the 30s. Now, usually I joke with the Floridians, and they say, you know, oh, Florida and St. Augustine's older, and they're correct. But St. Augustine was not a part of the United States back then, so Now, in front of us, it says Arch Street, but it used to be a tree street. It used to be Mulberry Street, but back in the very beginning of Philadelphia, in order to have access to the river, they had a very high riverbank. They dug through the riverbank and they arched it with a bridge, and the nickname of the arch stuck. The arch is not there anymore. The I-95 is there. Now we're coming up on stop 2, And we're coming up to Betsy Ross's house. Now, Betsy, you don't know if this is really her street, or her house, because she read it. And she was credited with creating the flag, with sewing the flag, not creating the flag. And her first husband, Mr. Ross, was in charge of munitions, and he liked to smoke cigars, and he got a little too close to the munitions, and boom, he blew himself up. Her second and third husbands were pirates, like, arr, you make these pirates. What's a pirate's favorite letter? R. No, it's C. And her second husband got captured at sea. He was a privateer for the United States, got put in a prison, died in a cell, and his cellmate, who was a friend, Mr. Claypool, Mr. Ash, who died, he said, tell my wife I love her. So Mr. Claypool came over and he said to her, I love you. And she married him. She had 3 husbands. She's buried with her husband right over there, Mr. Claypool, but guess what? She's not buried there. She was a Quaker, and Quakers don't have gravestones. They don't believe in that. Originally she was buried a few blocks from here, but in 1776, when her story became famous, they moved her to another graveyard called Mount Moriah. And when they discovered that this might have been her house, they moved her here in 1975, but when they dug up her grave in Mount Moriah, she wasn't there. So they took some bones around there and they put it in there, and they said that's her. So she's not really children because of the Exclusion Act and the Geary Act. So this was all men. In fact, the Chinese men didn't want to be discriminated, so they hid in plain sight. This was a red light district. So if you told your wife that you've been to Chinatown here, guess what you just told her? You told her you've been to the red light district, so you didn't tell her. That's what's called hiding in plain sight. And I found this out by another tour guide who does tours in this area, that the reason that most Chinatowns in America have just restaurants and laundromats, because it's women's work, and they thought the Chinese men looked very effeminate because they had like you, they had the nice long black hair and they kept it really long. So they said, no, they look like women, so we'll let them just do women's work. You know, discrimination. Now, you guys have all seen the arch in San Francisco, right? We have one also. It's coming up. It's 88 tons. And get your cameras ready. There's not a single screw or nail used in it. Here it comes. Here it comes. Everyone look on the right. Look on the right. Everyone go, ooh. Ah. Great spot at night to go. Wonderful neighborhood. Now, guess what our sister city of Seijian got in exchange for that? They got a cracked bell, a copy of the Liberty Bell. Now, did you guys ever hear of the Philadelphia Flower Show? Well, every year we have a flower show. Was it here in 1979? We had 4 million people all up and down the parkway out here. And the reason those windows are so tall up there, because they used to vandalize all the churches and they put them up there so no one could vandalize it. And look off to your left. You see this statue right here? That's Tadeusz Kościuszko. He volunteered to fight in the American Revolution. He was instrumental in the Battle of Saratoga, which is what, when we won that, that's when the French supported us. He went back to Poland to try to free Poland from Tsarist Russia. He got gravely injured, put in jail, and then when Catherine the Great let him out, he came back to Philadelphia, and was a big friend of Jefferson, and in his honor, the Polish flag is right there. That's a gift from Poland. In front of us, you see this, it should be working, it's a fountain. It'll start operating in April. It's called Swan Fountain. And the son of Alexander Mill Kalman, that did all the sculptures around City Hall, he designed it. And there are 3 indigenous Lenape people around it. There's a young woman for the Wissahickon Creek, which means Catfish Creek, an older woman for the Schuylkill River, which is beyond the Art Museum, and a gentleman, a man, for the Delaware River. So they represent the 3 major waterways of Philadelphia. Now, did you ever hear of Philadelphians say water? We don't. We say water. That's because we took a water for the Golden Schuylkill. You guys definitely need some coffee. First Natural History Museum in Philadelphia, in the United States, right over there. There's a real T-Rex. T-Rex. And you see this building with the hand gesture? That's Comcast 2. In 2017, they put another 6-inch high statue of William Penn up there, and that's the year the Eagles won the Super Bowl. Shakespeare Memorial over here on our right. Do you remember the movie National Treasure? The kid runs up the stairs at Franklin Institute right in front of us, to the left. And then delivers a clue to the benches right over there. That's the World War I African American Memorial right there. And take a look behind us.